Hi, I'm Azza, ex-cook and sustainable tourism graduate. Since childhood, I've been around food and tourism, growing up in the main tourism destination in Tunisia, in a family of farmers. Since more than 2 years, I've been around food and tourism projects aiming for sustainability, and I aspire in this podcast to share with you talks that I have with food and tourism stakeholders about food and tourism today. When I first came to Italy to pursue my master's degree, I discovered language meetings, and it was perfect for me at the time. There I met Andrea, a tour guide and a passionate traveler, always curious about Arab countries and curious about Sardinia. We met after his visit to Dubai to share with you a piece of our enthusiastic and critical discussions about tourism. Hope you enjoy it. How do you like to be presented?
This is a very hard question to answer. I'd like to be presented like a dreamer all my life. I have always been attracted by the beauty of living more than by the duty itself. So maybe the dreamer is the best name to give me at this moment.
A very Italian mindset.
Yeah, a typical Italian mindset. Yeah, not all the older generation, because the older generation had to fight for life, but the new generation is toward this direction.
Maybe the old generation had to enjoy the simplest things.
Maybe, but also I just speaking about the generation I met, because I'm 60 years old, so I'm talking about my father, my mother. In fact, if he were alive, he would have been 110 now. So he lived really another environment, another reality completely. And for him, it is true that there was a small time reserved to sport, to fun, but the base of his mentality was always the duty. So studying and working.
Yeah. You're a traveler and
I'm a
tour
traveler.
guide.
Exactly, I'm a traveler tour guide. So it means that my first passion, so the best way to employ my time is traveling. And obviously, as I am a dreamer, I choose the work who was more or less related to this. And for this reason, my job is to bring tourists to see the best part of my island where I live, Sardinia.
Mm-hmm. What drove you to traveling and what attracted you and how it all started?
Since my childhood, I remember this. When I was really a kid, when I was 6, 8, my father told me, Andrea, we have to go to the bar, okay, next just to have an ice cream. I was more or less happy. If later we have to go to the seaside of the following day, we have to go to the seaside, it was much better because it was far. And if the next week we had to leave for another country, my happiness was at the top. So I have always been attracted to go as far as possible and to meet as much as possible. Everything was new, so not concerned to the usual things of every day.
So I understand that this is how you choose your destinations. The farthest, the more different.
Exactly.
How far did you went? What are the most interesting destinations you visited?
The most interesting destination I can tell 2 of them. One of these is in the Arabic country that I liked. I had a different experience like this one as a tourist. And 30 years ago, as a person invited. As a person invited was a little bit harder, but I was younger. And got the possibility to enter a completely different mentality from mine. The second one was in a north.
Where was it?
I was invited in Syria, and I profited to visit alone Turkey. Then I passed to Syria, and with a person who guested me, we visited together also Iraq and Jordan. And at the time, even when you worked, when you were in the most important city, know a lot of signs were in Latin character. And so without my Arab friend should have been hard to move and to get oriented in the circumstances. Moreover, it was so interesting because I was in the family, in his family, so with the tradition of praying, of staying together with their sense of hospitality, him and his brother went to sleep in the kitchen, to leave their room and their bed for me. Another extremely interesting was a couple of years before, I was to the northern countries. And I visited Norway, Denmark, Norway, Finland, and Sweden, until the North Cape. Completely different atmosphere, the fjords, the cold, the tundra, the sun at midnight, and the boreal, I think it is in English, the boreal dawns, which is something really stunning. So this has been, I think, the most interesting. But everywhere I find something new, some habits to compare my reality and that of the guesting country.
Mm-hmm. How did traveling change it from when you started up to now? Did it become easier, more interesting, or how do you see the difference?
Traveling has become much easier, much cheaper, and a little bit less interesting. Why? It is obviously much easier because now the means of transport are fantastic, and thanks particularly to the low-cost lines, like I don't speak precise about the companies, but you know, everybody knows that those allow to reach new countries with the extremely reduced payment price. But the less interesting is due to the globalization. I think that worldwide, particularly Western countries, put a certain ideal that once was taken just by the Western country, the other Western countries. And now is taken a little bit by everybody, by every nation. So, particularly the big cities, has become decreasingly less interesting because too much globalized, too much young person, average person speak the same way, say the same thing, maybe in another language, but more or less is the same.
Yeah.
When I started traveling in the 80s, in the beginning of the 80s, there was much different. I remember the first time in Germany, and Germany was at the time deeply another country. France, okay, more or less we were both Latins, but in Germany or in Austria or in Switzerland, you already felt a stronger difference compared to my country.
Now you live in Sardinia and you worked in tourism in Sardinia for a long time. How do you see tourism in Sardinia?
It's not improving as much as it should, absolutely, because Sardinians are not able to do a good industry, a good touristic industry. So we have more or less some things in which we are improving, but as I can say, the attraction of Sardinia has always been its nature. This island has a good inner landscape, but first of all, it has a fantastic sea. I think that the sea is the most attracting thing for a foreigner.
Yeah, which makes the tourism a bit seasonal.
The fact exactly that the most beautiful and attracting thing is the sea. So when people can enjoy staying at the sea, making sport at the sea, relaxing and swimming in a very clear water, people is attracted. When in general, when the end of October arrives, and even the Swiss and the German tourists, which are very frequent in October, go away, generally nothing lingers. There is, in general, there is one precise date for this, and this the last Sunday of October, when there is the change of the time. After that, even if the climate allows still good days and mild temperature, there is not anybody anymore.
What do you see that has to be changed in tourism in Sardinia?
Mentality, absolutely. Mentality, nature is already something, but it's not enough. Nature is not enough because it does not allow, okay, to have all the comforts that the tourists want when they come here. It's unusual that you are in a fantastic beach, then you ask, okay, should be so nice now to have a good cappuccino with a local pastry, the tradition of Sardinia. It is closed, at this time there is nothing, at 3 o'clock there is nothing, now you cannot, maybe tomorrow, I don't know, this, there. So it has changed completely and give the tourist the possibility to have the best services and the best companies when they are here.
Are Sardinians happy for tourism?
They don't get in touch so much with tourism. So tourism in Sardinia is still, how can I say, reduced, is not a real invasion in the city. So I did not find neither a particular attraction toward the tourists, neither a particular distance toward them. Even when they come here, many tourists, they try to enjoy the local beauties without they getting too much in touch with the reality of Sardinia, differently from what happens in Sicily or in Campania, where their tradition, their way of doing, the food, the sense of the party, the feast, puts the two sides more in contact.
Speaking of Sicily, you worked in tourism in Sicily.
Yes.
How do you see the difference in tourism there? How do you see the difference
between Sardinian and the Sicilian tourism?
Yeah, offer and
Okay, I think that in generally in Sicily, the tourism find a little bit less of beauty in the sea, but they find, first of all, more historical sites. So when you are tired about the sea, you are sure you go to a city and you can enjoy the most artistic church sites and so on. Second, the pattern, the stereotype of a Sicilian has been broadcasted more or less all around the world, and many people is attracted to come and to see the characteristic of the attitude, of the communication, of the socialization of the people from Naples or from Sicilians, compared to Sardinia that stays a little bit apart and far from them.
What about food in Sardinia and in Sicily?
In Sicily. Food is in both regions, I think is quite good. The difference is that in Sardinia the recipe are a little bit lighter, so better for diet, and a little bit more reduced than in the number. In Sicily you have more recipe, more variety, but sometimes it's a little bit too much or too grease. You can be afraid to get a little bit fatter.
Yeah, that's why the rate of people getting to 100 years old is high.
Well, I think that the quality is good in both regions.
Yeah. You've been many times to Spain. You like tourism in Spain?
Absolutely, I do.
How do you see it different from tourism in Italy?
I think that tourism in Spain is much better organized than in Italy because they allow more. Okay, for instance, this is a hot evening, or a warm evening. People in Sardinia cannot dress without a t-shirt in the streets. You're not allowed to. You do it when there is nobody, but you're not allowed to.
You're not allowed in Sardinia
in
or
Sardinia,
in Italy?
even in Sicily, in general, in Italy.
By
in Spain,
law or by society?
Both. I think the law probably does not strictly make it observe, but the people do not look at you in a very comfortable way when you do it. In Spain, you have the sense that everything is possible. You can swim the time that you want. You can go by night without a t-shirt. You are hungry, for instance. It is 5 o'clock. In Italy, it is not a time for lunch, not time for dinner.
Yeah.
Okay. In Spain, whatever you want, you can eat in the hour that you like, in the time that you like. Second time, in Spain, they have more sense of the feast, to have a party together. A party which is not always drinking, but it is in general to have a feast. It can be music, it can be socialized, it can organize something. A little bit as it was the Italian pattern from the 60s until the 80s, 90s, but those last time we lose a bit that, and in Spain is still exists. Italy is better in food, because food in Spain is good, but I think in Italy is even better. And in the sense of the beautiful and the relaxing act. So Spain is active. Okay, go on, get on with the party. Italy is relaxing.
Spain is energetic, very slow living, especially in the south.
Yeah. The exception, the negative thing of the tourism in Spain is that sometimes go there a lot of tourists, particularly for the northern countries, that want just to drink and to waste everything. So there are in Spain many places where other tourists do not go, because it's full of English or Germans that go there just for cheap holidays, go drunk and to make everything else, even also the worst thing.
I feel that even the negative things that you mentioned about tourism in Italy in different parts are related to preserving some traditions, but isn't it that made Italy a specific and special destination for people? Because people that come to Italy, they like that you are preserving the tradition.
Yes, in a certain sense, yes. I think that the stereotype of Italian beauty joined to, because the tradition do exist also in other countries, in Spain, in Greece. It is everywhere. I think that in Italy is the culture and the level of those traditions which are interesting. The class, the elegance we can be of a certain tradition, and it is particularly if you just think to Tuscany, for instance, is full of very beautiful little towns with their church, with the gardens, that makes in a calm way enjoy what is the typicity of that country, and so as you tell the traditions.
I can't speak about tourism and know that you visited Tunisia and not ask how you found tourism in Tunisia. What are the positive and negative things both?
I think that I found enough positive, and I think that Tunisia has to improve a little bit in the offer and in the typicity and of what is your culture. I think that many persons making tourism in Tunisia are a little bit afraid that the typicity,
the authenticity you want to see.
the authenticity, exactly, is not appreciated. So they put a little bit too much what is international compared to what is really Tunisian. So I mean, I go in a place where I can eat or drink something, there is the music. I don't want to listen the best success of England, of America. I wanted to listen to Tunisian music. I wanted to see the Tunisian dresses and so on. This is an example.
Tunisian food.
Tunisian food, exactly. Much more to put in value what are your good characteristics can be appreciated to a Western tourist that I'd like to listen, for instance, in a beautiful night, to say in an open bar, to drink some special drink that you used to drink, and then listen Chafia Rochdi or another Arab singer, and not to listen disco music from England.
I totally agree. Thank you for your time.
It's been a pleasure.